Alright, we are headed out here. I am ready to start planting, even though it is like, what, the middle of December? It's winter, or well, it's not officially winter yet, but it's getting close to winter. But I'm already ready to go ahead and start planting my garden. I'm ready to actually get stuff planted, even though I can't. So we're gonna come out here and I'm gonna talk a little bit about my plans, what I'm gonna do, and maybe some tips on how you can get some of your stuff ready or get to be thinking about what you're gonna do for next year. All right, so let's go in the flower pot holding my sort of gate. And these ladies are probably mad at me because I didn't have any. Got to get some feed today for them. Of course, they can eat whatever's out here, but they do like their feed. All right, so let's go over here to the raised beds. So I have 9 raised beds this year. I sort of planted in the three that I built. At the end of the year, I had some kale and some greens, and it's housing some strawberries right now. But the other 6 I did plant in this year. So I'm going to be rotating a little bit. Like where I had beets, I'm going to put some green beans or peas, and where I had tomatoes, I'm going to put, I believe, roots. So I'm going to put probably beets or carrots. So this is where we had the beets last year. So I will probably put beans, and I'll probably put the hoop like that over there, and I will hoop it right here. And of course we've got the asparagus, and but wherever we had like leafy things, we're gonna put some root crops. And then wherever we had root crops, we're gonna put some legumes. So I'm gonna do beans. I'll probably do some maybe some peas this year. But one of my tips is to figure out what your family likes. What does your family eat? And then maybe add a thing or two to that and try some new things. We're gonna try okra this next year, and that is one thing that we're gonna try. I'm not sure about another one. I'll figure out something. But I have a tree guild. I want to do a tea garden this year. Or next year. I want to do a tea garden next year. So got some interesting plans for next year I'm excited about, but I'm really wanting to get stuff done. So I'm just gonna have to plan it out a little bit and write myself a timeline so that I can make sure that I get my seeds ordered, get my seeds started on time, and then kind of figure out how I want to plant them. I know I want to plant beets throughout the year. I want to plant beans throughout the year so that I don't have like a huge amount coming in at one time, but I have enough throughout the year that we can eat and that I can also preserve. All right, so let's head back out here. Oh, you're back, chicken. You're back in there. What are you doing? I don't know why you're coming this way. You can get out. Let's go into the greenhouse for just a minute. It's actually much warmer in here. Our little dog is chasing a chicken. It's much warmer in here. It's actually, let's see, it says 53 degrees outside and going down. It was 62 in here earlier with the sun on here, but there's no wind in here, so it's much warmer in here. It feels much better. So the plan is to start my seeds in here as well once it warms up a little bit, and kind of stays a good temperature in here, which probably I'll be able to start seeds in here earlier than I can start outside. But most of my seeds will be started inside under lamps, just regular, I don't know what they're called, shop lights. I'm not real sure what they are. They're like 4 foot long. But the plan is to go ahead, and I did clean this up a little bit, but see, I still have strawberry plants in here, is to, get plants all in here and all this cleaned off and put plants in here as well. The plan is also to do a caterpillar tunnel that I can do and put out and plant in the ground, and I can get things out in that earlier. I haven't got my cold frame done yet. I don't know if that's actually going to happen for this winter, but if I don't get it done for this winter, I can always get it done and plant it early in the spring for lettuces and stuff like that. But my tips on how much seed to get is to figure out what plants that your family's going to eat. What do you eat now? What would you like to plant? Maybe you have something that you just really wanted to try. then maybe get a seed packet of it and try it. The other thing is to see how many you actually need for your family. You may not need a whole lot. If they don't like something a whole lot, then you may not need a whole lot of that. If you're wanting to preserve, then you kind of just want to know maybe how many times you're going to fix this a year. How many times you're going to fix green beans. And then how much do you need every time you fix green beans? And then how many plants will you need for that? So then that's what you would plant. Like with the beans this year, I plan on planting some every 2 weeks. That way they don't all come on at one time, and I don't have like a huge amount of beans or a huge amount of beets like I did this year. So the plan is to plant in succession, I guess, every week or two, whatever it may be for each plant. And then that way it's not all at one time. Figure out what your family needs, how much you need of each, and then you also make sure you have somewhere to put all these. Because you start all these seeds and you don't have somewhere to put them, that could be a problem. So you want to make sure that you do have room, that you have, you know, space to put things. I have another 9 raised beds. I'm also going to be planting in the ground this year as well. You have a few different options. I mean, you can even plant in containers on your patio or whatever it may be, as long as it gets enough sunlight. So there's many options, and my raised beds were pretty cheap. They are 3x6. They're made out of cedar, like actually cedar fence posts. Here's one right here that's 4 foot. And so it's actually the dog ear cedar fence post that I use. I buy the 6 foot. So I buy 6 of the 6 foot. I cut 2 of them in half, and then I make a box out of it. I use just usually like some pieces of pallet or whatever for the corners, and I'll link that video for you as well. You can make them inexpensively. Whenever I was making them, they weren't very much. They were under $20 easily, because these were like, yeah, they were like $12 or $15 per bed. And you could even do 1 layer and make it even cheaper. So you could get 2 for $12, $15 if you didn't make them very thick. Mine are about 12 inches deep. So you could just do it, you know, this one thickness, and have more that way, and they wouldn't be very deep. But so figure out that, and then you want to order your seeds. You want to go ahead, figure out maybe a budget that you want to stick to. Go ahead and order your vegetable seeds, and then see what else that you want to order. I went ahead and bought some seeds end of this past season, and I went ahead and bought some okra and some cucumbers and things like that I wanted to plant this next year. And so I already have some of those seeds, but I do want to go through the seeds I already have and kind of see what I have, and I'm gonna get some tomato seeds and stuff like that. But before I order anything, I want to make sure that I go through my seeds and do an inventory. But I also want to make sure that I have enough of my seeds. So I may have a tomato or a cucumber plant. I may have those seeds, but I may not have enough of them. So I do have a few books that I'm going to look at that actually tells me like how many plants that I need to feed our family for the year. I want to grow more food next year and put up more food next year. I don't want to plant a bunch of stuff and us not eat it. So I want to make sure that I don't plant too much that I can't, you know, preserve it or keep it good. And I do want to make sure that I plant plenty of stuff that we do like and that we will use. So the first thing I will do is make a list of everything that I want to plant. Everything that maybe I think that we will eat, and then add on a few, maybe, I don't know, 2 to 5 new things that I would like to try, or that I think would just be good to maybe fit in somewhere. So the next thing I plan on doing is going through my seeds and seeing what I have as my inventory already. I did some seed saving this year, as you'll see, and I have some seeds that I didn't use all of from this past year. And so I'm going to go through all that, and then I'm going to see how many I have. You know, I may have plenty of cucumber seeds, which I'm pretty sure I do because I ordered a few different varieties. So I will order whatever I need in excess, and I am going to map out my garden a little bit this year. I'm going to try a little bit of crop rotation. So I'm going to go through my seeds. I'm going to plan out what I'm going to plant and draw out my garden a little bit. I'm going to do some more in-ground planting this year. If I go through my seeds, for the garden, I'm also going to plant lots of flowers this year. I planted some zinnias and some marigolds and some sunflowers last year, and I really want to plant some more flowers. I love flowers. I love perennial flowers, especially because they come back every year. But I do like some of the annuals, so I am going to plant some of those. and I'm gonna plant some beneficial ones around the garden and to draw some insects. And the plan is also to start the tree guild this next year as well, which I will document. You've seen it so far with just the cardboard down. Most of the cardboard is still there. Some of it has flown the coop and is kind of across the yard and in the woods that I need to kind of get to. But that is the plan, is to do the tree guild. I still have some strawberry plants in the greenhouse that I took off of the runners out at the strawberry patch or the strawberry raised bed. And that is still loaded. There is still runners hanging off the sides that I need to figure out so I can plant them somewhere in the tree guild. But that is the plan. I've got to move some elderberry bushes as well. So make sure that you first make a list of what you think your family is going to eat. And it may just be like, for a long time I did tomatoes, green beans, and cucumbers, and we did corn. And that was it, because that's what we ate, and we knew our family would eat that. We didn't venture out very much. Now this past year we've done cucumbers, I've done beets, which I love beets now. We did lettuces, I've done some kale, and of course we did the tomatoes and the cucumbers and just some other things that we did and we ate or preserved. So that would be my first tip, is to make sure that you know what your family would eat, and maybe start small. Maybe start in containers, raised beds, or whatever you have. But if this is the first time you're going to grow things, then don't worry about it. Just start with things that you know that your family will eat, and maybe try a new thing or two. The next is, if you already have seeds, go ahead and look through those and see how many seeds you have of, if you have tomato seeds, go ahead and check and see how many you have. How many plants can you start? And then you can go through the catalog, which I have a seed catalog. I have one so far, and there's so many pretty things in there. So many neat vegetables and neat flowers. So be sure to check those. Check and see, we run on a budget here. We do a budget for just about everything. And the garden really shouldn't be any different. So my plan is to budget and see how much I want to spend on extra on seed for this next year. And then we'll just kind of go from there and see. We definitely want to grow some corn this year. We didn't grow corn last year. And sometimes it may be a crop rotation of, like, you grow tomatoes one year and you don't grow tomatoes the next year. Maybe you produce enough, a big harvest one year, and maybe you only do 1 or 2 plants just for fresh eating the next year. Or maybe you don't grow any at all. Maybe you only use them for soups. So find what works best for you. But I plan on planning out my garden, and I know that is helpful for me. And that is my suggestion, is to kind of just sketch it out. It doesn't have to be like perfect, but kind of sketch out where you want to put things, how many you're going to have. If you know how many you're going to have, then you're going to have to know where you're going to put all those. So that is my plan. So check and see what your family is going to eat. If you already know what they're going to eat or what they will eat, then you can kind of plan from there. Check your seed if you already have seed, or maybe neighbors or friends have seed, or maybe you save seed. You can save seed from vegetables that you've bought from the grocery store. I did some peppers this year. I saved some seed from for organic lunchbox peppers that I bought this year. I ordered from Botanical Interest. This is where this summer squash seed came from. I really like their envelopes. They're very pretty. And then I also order from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, because I like the heirloom seeds, and I have had no trouble getting seeds from them. But I would recommend ordering now, pretty soon if you're going to order, because some stuff, I was looking the other day, and some stuff looks like it's either out of stock or they may not have very much. So, look through your books if you have gardening books. Like, I have this perennial garden book. Now, these are flowers that I'll be looking at. I want to plant lots of flowers, like I said, this year. But yeah, so write it down. Make a plan and stick to maybe a budget, and just, work a little bit at a time, and do some research now and see what you need. You can, use recycled things to grow your seeds in, to start your seeds in. You don't have to buy all the fancy stuff. I don't plan on buying a whole lot. I did ask for I asked for a soil blocker for Christmas. So that's what I'm going to use this this coming year, instead of using a bunch of little pots or a bunch of little containers. I'm just going to use the soil blocker so that it's already ready to go. It's not in anything. I can just pick it up when it is ready and plant it. So I hope this was helpful and I didn't ramble too much. If you have any tips for starting your garden, planting your seeds that you're going to start, whatever it may be, or maybe you have a favorite vegetable or a favorite place to buy your seeds, drop it below in the comments and share so we can check that out as well. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, guys.